Welcome to the Health Angle Podcast with Dr. Mike Headlee and Dr. Gordon Fimreite, where we'll be exploring different angles of health to achieve the best version of yourself. Now here's your hosts, Dr. Mike and Dr. Gordon.
Hi, I'm Dr. Mike Headlee, and with me is Dr. Gordon Fimreite. Welcome, Dr. Gordy.
Hey, Dr. Mike, and welcome everybody. Today on the Health Angle Podcast, we have a good subject today, Dr. Mike. This is in our wheelhouse. We're both chiropractors. We've been doing it for some time. I've been almost 29 years. You've been doing what, 45, 50 years or so?
Yeah, just shy of 60, yeah.
There we go. So today's episode is going to be about tips, just real practical tips that you can do that can make a real huge impact on your posture. And of course, posture is the window to good health. So we're going to dive into this subject, and welcome to the Health Angle Podcast.
Yes, this is fun to talk to because everybody can see everyone else's posture. You don't just have to look in the mirror. You don't just have to look at yourself and take selfies and pictures. You can go to the mall or a sporting event or the park and people watch. And you don't have to be critical and be mean. You can just observe people's posture. And quite frankly, it's kind of fun to do that once in a while, don't you think, Dr. Gordy?
I couldn't agree more. And as chiropractors, we kind of dial in even more. We might notice somebody sitting on a wallet, or we might notice a hip a little bit higher there, or their head tilt, or high shoulder, or their gait is just a little bit off. So yeah, it is kind of fun.
It is fun. You know, a couple quotes that I like to start us off. Posture is the window to your spine. If you have ideal looking posture, you have a really good chance of having the insides look good, at least potential. But if your posture looks wrecked, there's hardly a chance that the spinal structures in your nervous system are going to be decent on the inside. So looks aren't everything, but you want to look like you have good posture. And then the next thing is function. I like the quote, to age well, we have to move well. So once you have the good structural postural alignment, the next thing is to make sure that alignment moves well and functions well. And then I just like the quote, you're as old as your spine. And when we have good posture, it gives us a chance to wear evenly, just like our cars and our tires and our brakes and our struts and things like that. So those are just a few things to get started. So I have three things I would like to share. My first one is a test, but it's also an exercise. So tell me, since I can't really demonstrate it completely, tell me if this makes sense to you, Dr. Gordy. When you put your back up against the wall, okay, I want people to put their feet, their heels, about a foot away from the wall, because I'm going to have them slightly bend their knee, and we're going to do something called a wall sit. A lot of athletes used to do a complete sit, like you're sitting 90 degree, your legs and quads and thighs are at a 90-degree angle to strengthen your legs and to push your back up against the wall. But we don't have to do a complete full wall sit, but your heels 1 foot away from the wall. You're going to slightly bend your knees, feet pointing straight ahead, and then you're going to put the hips and the small of your back, tilt your pelvis, and trying to get the small of your back flat against the wall, as well as your mid-back and your head touching the wall. About 50% of people that I ask to do that can't do that, Dr. Gordy. And so it's a test. It's like, oh, we got some work to do. We need to work on your structure and your function. So the people that do, the next thing is you want to be relaxed and at ease with that pelvic tilt in your middle back and your head touching. And then you can have your palms. You can do a wall angel like this if you can do that, or just have your arms by your side, palms facing forward. And I literally do that every day, Dr. Gordy, for 30 seconds to a minute. Why? Because I'm hunched over like you are on tables, and I'm sitting here at a computer and things like that. But I want, at the end of the day, I want to prove to myself that I can get into neutral, straight up posture, no matter how. So next year at this time, if I do it every day, I'm going to still be straight. My spine not be perfect, my health may not be perfect, but I'll be able to be up straight and upright. So it's a test, but it's also an exercise that I challenge people to do a partial wall sit to see if they can get their hands back, their palms forward, the pelvic tilt to shoulders, and the head back. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, that's great, Mike. That's a great first one. And like anything you do, consistency is more important than intensity. Dr. Mike, you're just doing it. You want to maintain and be, there you go, to be as good as you can in another year. So my first one is forward head posture, also known as text neck, or it's also known as anterior head carriage. It's a big deal. We live in a digital world. And like you said, you're hunched over a computer. I am. People have mobile devices. People are looking down, reading books. It's a big deal. And in fact, for every inch your head goes forward, and each inch adds about 10 pounds of stress on the upper back, neck, and shoulders. Over time, that really does add up. And so forward head posture, it can lead to a lot of problems. And one of the problems is you can have neck pain, upper back pain, pinched nerves, results in disc problems, headaches, and some things that people don't think of. And that's like your ability to have enough oxygen intake. So I have 3 kind of like tests that I want to demonstrate. And then I want to just show a real quick exercise that people can do every day. Very simple, just could be consistent with that. So the first test is if you jut your head way out and you take a deep breath in through your nose, just evaluate how much air you get in. Now bring your head back where it's supposed to be. Deep breath in through your nose. So much easier. So when people have forward head posturing, you actually grow that way over time without thinking of it. You're reducing your oxygen intake as well as all the other things we just talked about. Second test is if you put your head forward and you turn to the left as far as you can and to the right, it limits your range of motion. You just can't turn as much as if you go back here, turn to the right and to the left. So with forward head posture, you limit your ability to turn your head, which can result from dysfunction and other problems over time. The third thing is if you put your head forward and you just bring your arms up over your head, and then you bring your head back where it's supposed to be and raise your head over. It's easier when you're standing, but I can tell you if you put your head forward and raise your hands straight overhead, it's hard to do. If you do it back where it's supposed to be, it's easy. You can bring your arms right over. So that just shows you, problems with the shoulder. So if you're an athlete and you're studying and your head is starting to go forward and you're working, you're limiting your motion in the shoulders and upper back. That reduces your ability to be really effective in the sports field as well. So that would be my first one, Mike, is a forward head posture. Now, what can you do to limit that? Pretend you're on a track and you're just going to glide your head straight back and you're going to hold that for 5 to 8 seconds. And then you just do it again, 5 to 8 seconds. Simple test. There's other things that you can do. You can roll up a towel, coil up a towel, and you can lay on it and just extend over a bed for a little period of time. Of course, if you get dizzy, don't do that. The other thing too is just another addition to it. So if you're going to glide your head back, you can interlace your hands back, pull your shoulders back and glide at the same time. And that's also a very effective exercise. Now, if you're in pain or distress, I don't recommend doing exercise. I have patients that say, hey, they're really wanting to be proactive and they have a pain syndrome. They go, give me all the exercises you can. It's probably the worst time to do exercises because you can put more load on the joints and make it worse. So the best time to do it is when you're healthy, you're doing good, and just do it slowly and ease into it. So that's my first one, Dr. Mike. What do you got for your second one?
Yeah, I love it, Dr. Gordy. And so when you're doing the wall sit, if you're having a hard time with your head flush up against the wall or the door, you absolutely need to do what Dr. Gordy says. Be conscious of where your head is. Do some chin tucks and do those exercises because it's a serious, serious deal. And so next time you're on the subway or a train or a bus or a church or at the mall, just observe to see if people have their ear over their shoulder. And most of the time they won't because they'll be on their tablet or phones or devices. And it's an epidemic today. And it has been as long as I've been in practice. That's a long time.
Just a real quick comment. I'll throw it back to you, Mike. I always tell people if you're doing it on your phone, your mobile device, bring it up so your head is more neutral. Or if you're in front of a computer, bring the screen up. Really simple changes that can make a huge difference over time.
My next posture tip is going to help with forward head posture and between the shoulder blades. We have 7 vertebrae in our neck called cervical vertebrae. Between our shoulder blades, we have 12 thoracic vertebrae, and then 5 lumbar vertebrae make up our lumbar or lower back. And so the least mobile part of that spine is the thoracic spine because of our rib cage, because of how the muscles intertwine with our shoulder blades, and we just don't have the range of motion there. So here's your second postural improvement piece, because when I see them in my office and they can't get their middle back and their head flush against the wall, they're just bound up. They got this dowager's hump, forward head posture, like Dr. Gordy said. So I'm going to have everybody put their arms out as far as you can. You can do this sitting or standing, preferably it's standing with your feet shoulder width apart, standing evenly. And then I want your thumbs to be pointing forward and your arms straight out, your ear over your shoulder, your head back. And I'm going to ask you to do 30 short, small arm circles forward while you squeeze your shoulder blades together. You squeeze those rhomboid muscles together, and then you do 30 arm circles forward with your thumbs pointing forward. When you get those 30 done, then you want to put your thumbs backwards and squeeze your shoulder blades together and do 30 more arm circles backwards. It seems simple. We aren't putting a massive amount of motion into our neck and our middle back and our spine. But when you get done with that, you'll be able to bend forward and backwards and rotate so much more, and you're going to mobilize the shoulder blades in that thoracic spine to help you get back to the flush wall sit that we talked about in the beginning, and also help your forward head posture. So thumbs forward, 30 arm circles, thumbs backwards, squeezing the shoulder blades together, 30 more. See how this does to your breathing, your rib cage expansion, your posture. Check it out. Do it every day because it only takes 2 minutes.
That's great. Good one, Mike. Really good. My second one is orthotics. And a lot of people are thinking, orthotics? What are you talking about? Even if you feel like you don't need them. Now, I want to preface this by saying, if you have feet conditions, if you're under the advice of your podiatrist and you need special orthotics, well, you can ignore this section. But for us average people, normal people, we might not think of orthotics. And I do a test in my office to see if people do need orthotics. And it's a real simple test. It's almost like called an applied kinesiology test. So if you put your arm, you're standing up, you're barefoot, or you have your socks on, and you put an arm out or both of them out, and you have somebody else push down on your arms to test your strength. And then what you do is you take your orthotic and you have them on the floor, and you take a step forward on the orthotics and you do a post test. And what I see most of the time are people are actually stronger when they're standing on those orthotics. That means that there's some type of neurological arch that shows that you're stronger, you have better balance, and you probably need arch support. Now, when you look at an orthotic, I know you can go to a podiatrist, some chiropractors have them, and you can spend a lot of money on them. Now, you can also get ones that are high quality that are basically over the counter, like this one. And what I like about it is it has a medial longitudinal arch, a lateral longitudinal arch, it's got a transverse arch, and it's got just a little bit of a cushion for the heel. So when you have that heel strike, you have good support. And it's a little bit rigid. I don't like fully rigid. And the reason I don't like fully rigid where it doesn't move at all is because you have 26 bones in one foot, 26 bones in the other foot. So you have 52 bones in the feet, and you have 206 bones of the body. So 1/4 of all your bone structures are right there in the feet. So every time you walk and you have heel strike, mid stance, toe off, each of those bones are doing their own specific motion. So if you had an old sprained strain in the past or some type of inversion injury, etc., that can throw out those mechanics and you may not realize maybe you do need orthotics. But I think there's something to be said about the compensational effects that benefit you when you have those support. Plus, they're really comfortable. And I like this because it just gives just enough, but it's not floppy. If you're getting orthotic, the cheap ones that are floppy and it looks like it has an arch, I don't know if I'm too keen on getting those types of orthotics, but if it's got like a hard plastic and it just gives a little bit, that's probably what you want to look for. So that's my second one, Mike.
Yeah,
Orthotic.
very good, Gordy. I love that. And that ties into what we talked about in the beginning with people watching. When you just sit back and look at their forward head and see their shoulders slouching, they got duffel bags, they got, carrying kids, they got purses, wallets, like you said. You'll see people in the summertime now with the cheap flip-flops, right? And you'll see people caved in on one foot, and it just looks painful to see
Yeah.
people walk with those cheapy flip-flops. I'm not saying sandals and flip-flops are bad because they make really, really good ones these days. But the $2 ones at Walmart that you should maybe just wear to the pool at best, so you don't if you have to walk around across a hot parking lot or something. But gosh, I see people with caved in arches when they're wearing cheap flip-flops, and so you need to get
Yeah.
assessed for arch supports
And I
and
want to
or
make,
invest in good
I,
sandals.
I agree, Dr. Mike. Sorry for interrupting, but I just want to share one thing. What you said about the arches have fallen as well. You can feel that just on a static when they're standing. But what a lot of people don't assess is if you're walking, you might have one arch that's rigid and the other one is fallen, and that will alter the mechanics. And then a lot of times I put people on bilateral scales when I do a test. And you'd be surprised. A lot of people with low back pain might be distributing like anywhere from 5 to 10, sometimes more, sometimes less pounds more on one side of the body. And over time, that arch takes a lot of stress and it just doesn't stay put. And all of a sudden, you have two different arches, and it's really prevalent when someone's walking with their gait. So back to you, Mike.
Absolutely. So I like the foundation of our body, our feet. We have to start there and then build up. So my third is another thing to really enhance forward head posture and also the upper back and middle back because it's just a really stiff, rigid area. So I'm going to have people put their hands like this and put it right next to their cheeks. Okay, and then I'm going to have you bring your elbows back as far as you can while you squeeze your shoulder blades together. So those rhomboids, and you do 30 of those, just like the 30 arm circles. And I'm not doing it quite as well on this side because of the microphone. But you just bring it all the way back with your head back, like Gordy talked about in the beginning, to prevent forward head posture, and just squeeze there 30 times. And if you're at a desk and have a desk job, geez, you don't even have to get up and do this, but it probably is good to stand up if you're sitting all day. And you just do that 30 times, and you'll feel how much more your chest expands and you can breathe deeper and get that mobility into the thoracic spine. And that's going to allow you to do your wall sits. So I did 2 and 3, the second and third ones, to really assist people to get comfortable to be able to do that wall sit exercise.
That's great. Awesome, Mike. My next one and my last tip is a lumbar support. And it looks something like that. It's just an example. And I'm a big fan of lumbar support because you're supposed to have a forward C curve in the low back. And that forward C curve should be maintained whether you're standing, sitting, especially if you're sitting at the workstation all day. And a lot of people, if they don't have that lumbar support, they tend to kind of lean forward, which puts a lot of stress not only on the low back, but look what happens to the rest of the body. It starts going forward and upper back neck problems, and that leads to the forward head posturing. So if you have a lumbar support, that helps you keep more upright, and the architect of the lumbar spine, the low back, is intact when you have that forward C-curve support. So A big, huge fan. Whenever I have patients come in, I always go over how you should properly set up your workstation. And one of the first things I look at, besides the forehead posture, is getting a lumbar support. So they have that support, because a lot of people, you don't have that good support. And again, you're just leaning, you're putting stress on there, and you're not even thinking, you're thinking about your work. But over time, that puts stress on the low back, not to mention the upper back and neck, because of the folding head posturing. So that's my final one, Dr. Mike, is the lumbar support.
I love it. Thank you for sharing such great information. And I love that we don't share notes beforehand and we still don't come up with the same stuff, which is kind of cool.
That's great.
Yeah, so what's really, really cool is we have better awareness of our posture because we're talking about this. With better awareness, we can make better choices. We can be more conscious, and we can put reminders on our phone. We can, if you really want to get real, have a coworker, a spouse, a friend, take some pictures of your posture at work and at the dinner table and on the couch watching Netflix. And if you're, eating like this all the time and then all of a sudden hunched over, or you're at your desk and on the mouse and you're grinding and you're typing, it's kind of sobering to look at some of those pictures, Dr. Gordy. So give someone permission to really analyze your posture, because it's a big deal. Your structure and your function, our bones, our posture, our vertebrae, protect that delicate spinal cord and nervous system. And we need to age well, we have to move well. And we're as old as our spine. So we need to protect that spine. We need to protect the structure. And it starts with being aware, making better choices, doing some of these simple exercises, because you're responsible for your posture, and you have enough time in your day to do 2 to 4 minutes of things, get evaluated for orthotics, and see a chiropractor regularly to keep your spine flexible and functioning and your nervous system optimum. So that's my bit of advice as well. Anything last closing words, Dr. Gordy?
I think there's a lot of good apps that people can put it, type in posture and proper ergonomics. And I think you'll find good apps out there that can help out with posture related issues. And Mike, I think you summed it up perfectly. What a great episode, and to people's health, and just be proactive. And again, consistency is better than the intensity of it.
I agree totally. So just be consistent. And I close the show with asking you, what's your number one takeaway? So when you're at the office tomorrow, ask permission to take a coworker's picture, or they can take your picture, and then just maybe teamwork together as an example on how to improve people's posture, or how to maintain their good posture. What do you do to have such good posture? And then number 2, what's your action step that you can do today to really be more aware of your posture, to take better actions and then get better results? So what's your takeaway to share with someone else? And then what's your action step that you're going to do to either maintain your optimum posture or improve it slowly but surely? So that's all I have today, and I'm excited to hear your comments and any other questions you have about how your posture journey is going.
Yeah, and we do like comments, so please share your journey in that department. Thank you for joining us here on the Health Angle podcast, and next week we'll have another episode on another health subject. Please subscribe to our podcast, like our content, and click that notification bell. Until next week, Dr. Mike, we will see you then.
Thank you for joining us on the Health Angle podcast. Please subscribe to our channel and catch us for our next episode.